The sky above Alvaron 3 was always filled with soft golden clouds. This planet, far from Earth, was one of humanity's most peaceful colonies. Here, technology touched every part of life, from floating trains to food printed in air. But not everything could be fixed by machines. Darren Voss, a billionaire inventor and war veteran, sat quietly inside a small cafe in the lower district. He wore a long dark coat and simple glasses that hid his identity. People here didn't recognize him. That's how he wanted it. Across the table sat his 8-year-old daughter, Lena. Lena had once been a healthy, bright child. But a transport crash 2 years ago damaged her brain and spine. Now, she couldn't walk. She couldn't speak with her own voice. Her arms were weak, and her eyes often stared blankly. A neural implant helped her with basic responses, but her emotional system had shut down. No medicine or therapy had worked. Darren tried everything: robots, scientists, even alien tech. But nothing brought his daughter back. He had nearly lost hope. But that day, something small happened. A young waitress with curly brown hair approached the table. Her name tag read Mira. She looked cheerful but tired, like someone who worked long hours yet still smiled. "Hi there," Mira said gently, setting down 2 glasses of berry water. She looked at Lena with warm eyes, not with pity, just kindness. Darren watched quietly. Lena's head dropped to one side, and her fingers trembled as she tried to lift her spoon. Her hand knocked over a piece of bread. Before Darren could move, Mira knelt beside Lena and gently picked up the spoon. "Want some help?" she asked softly. Lena's eyes moved slightly. The neural implant on her temple glowed faintly, a weak signal. Without waiting for praise, Mira scooped some warm soup and held it near Lena's lips. She was patient. She didn't rush. Slowly, Lena took a small bite. It was the first time she ate without a robot feeding her in weeks. Darren's eyebrows rose slightly. He had seen nurses and eye assistants fail to do what Myra had just done in seconds. "Thank you," he said finally. Myra smiled, standing up. "No problem. She's sweet. Reminds me of my little sister." "You have a sister?" "Had, long time ago," Myra replied, her voice quiet. Then she looked at Lena again and smiled. "Let me know if you need anything else." As she walked away, Darren watched her carefully. Something about her. It wasn't just her voice or hands. It was her presence. She felt real. Not like the cold helpers he hired before. He took a breath and looked at Lena. To his surprise, she was staring in Mira's direction. Her fingers twitched again. A small flicker of light blinked from her implant. It meant one thing: emotional reaction detected. Later that evening, Darren reviewed Lena's neural logs. He stared at the data. The system showed that Lena's brain had shown higher than normal activity during that brief moment with Myra. It wasn't caused by medicine or machines. It was caused by human interaction. Darren leaned back in his chair, lost in thought. For the last 2 years, he had locked himself away from the world, trying to fix Lena with science. He never thought something as simple as kindness could cause this kind of response. He decided something right then. Tomorrow, they would return to the cafe. The next day, Darren and Lena came back, same time, same table. Mira smiled when she saw them. "Back again?" "That's rare around here," she said. "The soup was good," Darren answered. "Well, good taste runs in the family," Mira said with a wink to Lena. Again, she helped Lena eat. Again, Lena responded, but this time Mira did something more. She took a small piece of napkin and folded it into a tiny bird. Carefully, she placed it on Lena's palm. "It's an origami bird," she said. "We used to make these when we were sad. They're supposed to fly away with your worries." Lena stared at the paper bird. Her lips twitched. Her implant blinked. Then something amazing happened. Lena used her assisted voice. The words came slow and robotic, but clear. Thank. Myra's eyes widened. She looked at Darren, then smiled wide. Darren was frozen. He hadn't heard his daughter speak, even through the implant, for nearly 6 months. That night, Darren didn't sleep. He studied everything about Myra. She wasn't on any government list, not a registered therapist or advanced healer. Just an orphan girl from a mining colony who had worked job to job since she was 15. She had no money, no support, no titles, but she had something no tech could create. Darren realized something deep inside himself. He had built machines to protect Lena's body, but maybe what she needed was someone who could reach her soul. The next day, Darren waited for Mira after her shift. "I'd like to talk," he said. Mira looked nervous. "Did I do something wrong?" "No, quite the opposite." He explained Lena's condition, about the accident, the therapy, the failure of machines, and how Mira's actions changed something. "I want to hire you," he said. "Not as a nurse, as a companion. Someone who can reach her in ways others can't." Mira looked shocked. "You want me to live with you? There's a full team. You won't be alone, but you'll have your own place. Training, support, everything you need." Mira looked back at the cafe, then at Lena, who was now holding the paper bird tightly. She took a deep breath. "If she wants me to stay, I'll stay." Darren nodded. From that moment, something new began. A journey that no amount of wealth, power, or machines could create. Journey of 3 hearts, one broken, one silent, and one shining with unexpected hope. Mira moved into the Vus residence 3 days later. It wasn't a house. It was a floating glass tower that looked over the silver ocean of Alvaron 3. The top floors were filled with soft lights, smart walls, and quiet rooms designed to keep Lena comfortable. Darren had built everything with care, hoping the calm would help his daughter recover. But what machines couldn't do, a simple human touch was beginning to achieve. Mira stepped into Lena's room slowly. It was bright, with soft colors and soft music in the background. Lena sat near the window in her chair, staring at the sky. Her fingers were resting on the paper bird Mira had given her earlier. She hadn't let it go since that day. "Hi, sunshine," Mira said with a small smile. "Mind if I join you?" Lena didn't answer, but her eyes moved. That was enough for Mira. She sat beside her on the floor and opened a small cloth bag she brought with her. Inside were bits of colored paper. "I thought we could make a few more birds," she said. "Maybe a whole sky full of them." She began folding carefully. Her hands moved slow, letting Lena watch every step. One corner here, a fold there. When she finished, she placed the new bird beside the first one. Then, she guided Lena's hand slowly, helping her fold the next one. The fingers were stiff and shaky, but Mira never rushed. She smiled the whole time. She whispered stories about her life growing up on a dusty mining world, where she and her sister would make paper toys because they had no real ones. "She was like you," Mira said. "Quiet, but strong. She didn't talk much either. But I always knew what she felt." A faint beep came from Lena's implant. Emotional signal. Level 2. It meant something inside her had shifted. Mira smiled softly. "I think you understand." Meanwhile, Darren stood outside the room, watching through a glass wall. He didn't want to interrupt. He hadn't seen Lena respond to anyone this way in so long. In the past, teams of therapists tried. Robots with perfect timing and synthetic voices tried. None of them could reach Lena the way Myra just did. It wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it. Her voice was gentle, her tone warm. Myra didn't treat Lena like a problem to fix. She treated her like a person, someone who could still feel and think, even if her body couldn't move much. Darren walked away quietly, his thoughts full. He returned to his lab deep below the tower. It was filled with screens, robotic arms, floating holograms, and files of every therapy system he had ever tried. All failed. Now he had something new. He opened Lena's neural log on the main screen. Since Mira arrived, activity levels had risen steadily. Not just motor responses, but emotional ones. Darren leaned forward. "This isn't science," he whispered to himself. "It's something more." Later that evening, Mira joined Darren in the sky garden, a quiet dome full of glowing flowers and floating lights. "Thank you for today," he said. "I saw the way she looked at you, the way she held that paper bird." "She's trying," Mira replied. "You just have to give her the right reason. You talk to her like she's whole." "She is whole," Mira said. "She just speaks in a different way." Darren studied her face for a moment. "You could have refused all of this. The offer, the job, the move. You barely know us." Mira looked out at the night sky. "You're right. I didn't do it for the money. I did it because she looked at me like I mattered. I haven't seen that look in a long time." She didn't say more. She didn't need to. Darren understood. She had lived a life where people walked past her, not noticing, not caring. But Lena saw her, sometimes. It takes someone broken to truly see someone else who is. The next morning, Mira changed the routine. Instead of folding birds, she brought music, a small string instrument made of recycled wires and wood. She had built it herself long ago. "I'll play something soft," she said to Lena, "and maybe you can tell me if you like it." She began to play. The sound was light, almost like wind. Lena didn't move at first. But then, slowly, her fingers twitched in rhythm. Her eyes closed and her lips curved ever so slightly. A smile. Mira stopped, her eyes wide. "You liked that, didn't you?" she asked softly. Lena's implant blinked twice. Stronger this time. Level 3 emotional response. Then the robotic voice buzzed. "More ... music ... please." Mira laughed, wiping a tear from her eye. From the corner of the room, Darren watched again, frozen in place. His heart beat fast. Lena hadn't truly smiled, since the accident. As days passed, the tower changed. Lena's room filled with paper birds and soft sounds. Mira created a wall of shapes and colors, helping Lena point to what she liked. Each time Lena responded, the neural implant lit brighter. She began forming full sentences through her voice device. "Bird blue. Happy Mira. More light. I remember." That last sentence made Darren pause. "I remember." Mira didn't ask what she remembered. She only smiled. "She's coming back," Darren said to himself. He wasn't wrong. Lena was healing, not just physically, but emotionally. She was remembering how to feel. And it was all because of a girl with no money, no education, and no title, just a heart that understood pain. That night, Darren stood outside the garden while Mira and Lena looked up at the stars. He thought of all the systems he had designed, all the devices, all the tech. None of it had touched Lena the way this one waitress had. Not because Mira had magic, but because she saw something no one else did. She saw Lena. And in return, Lena saw her. It was the beginning of something neither of them had expected, and Darren knew this was only the start. Weeks passed in the quiet sky tower above Alvaron 3. Every day, Mira and Lena shared small moments together, folding paper birds, listening to music, playing soft memory games, and watching the floating lights in the sky garden. Lena's condition kept improving. Her neural implant showed stronger signals. She was forming better sentences through her voice system. Most importantly, she was feeling again. One morning, Mira walked into Lena's room and found her already awake, her eyes bright and focused. "Good morning, sunshine," Mira said with a smile. Lena pointed at the table near the window. "Bird ... fly," Mira laughed. "You want to try the flying trick today?" She picked up a small drone-shaped paper bird they had been working on. Mira had connected a light propeller to it. She turned it on, and the little bird fluttered in the air, circling Lena's head before landing in her lap. Lena clapped slowly, her fingers still stiff but stronger than before. Darren stood at the doorway, watching again. But this time, he stepped inside. "That's a nice trick," he said. Lena turned to him. "Dad, happy?" Darren knelt beside her, touched her hand and nodded. "Very happy, Starbeam." Mira stepped back, giving them space. Her eyes glowed with warmth. She had helped bring this moment back, father and daughter, smiling together again. Later that afternoon, Darren invited Mira into his private study. It was a quiet room full of glass shelves, glowing maps of stars, and small models of ships and machines he had built over the years. "I want to tell you something," he said as Mira sat across from him. She looked unsure. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," he said quickly. "You've done more than I ever expected. That's why I want to offer you something else." He turned on a small hologram. It showed a design and AI-powered emotional assistant. But it didn't look like a machine. It looked like a child's toy with soft colors and eyes that glowed with emotion. "I've started a new project," Darren said. "Inspired by what you've done for Lena. It's called Heart Code." "What is it?" Mira asked. "A therapy system that copies human connection, not through programming, but through emotional memory. It can't replace a real person, but maybe it can help those who are alone." Mira stared at the design. "And you want me to help?" "I want you to be part of it, not just as a helper, as a co-creator." Mira blinked, stunned. "But I'm not a scientist." "You're the reason it exists," Darren said. "You understand something most of us forgot. Technology is only useful if it carries human kindness inside it." Mira was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "If it helps someone like Lena, I'm in." That night, Mira couldn't sleep. She sat on the balcony outside her small room, looking up at the sky. So much had changed in just a few weeks. She used to serve tables. Now she was part of something bigger, something that could change lives. But a shadow still lived in her heart. She remembered her sister Arla. Years ago, Arla had fallen sick while they worked in the mining fields. Mira tried to help her, but no doctor came. No rich man offered support. Arla died quietly, with only Mira by her side. "I couldn't save her," Mira whispered to the stars. "But maybe I can save someone else." She didn't notice Lena watching her from the hallway. In the days that followed, Mira and Darren worked together. They used Lena's emotional responses to help program Heartcode's core. Mira recorded stories, songs, and even calming words, teaching the AI how to speak with heart. They also gave Lena small challenges, easy games, puzzles, and art projects. Each time, she responded with more strength and joy. One morning, Lena surprised everyone. She drew a picture. It was simple 3-stick figures holding hands under a paper bird in the sky. One figure had glasses, one had curly hair. The smallest one had a glowing line over her head like Lena's implant. Mira's eyes filled with tears. "She sees us," she whispered. But just as things felt calm, an old enemy returned from the shadows. Far away in the dark cities of Alvaron Prime, a powerful man named Thalos Vyre sat in a steel tower. He was a rival tech lord, known for his cold inventions and hunger for control. Thalos had once tried to buy Darren's old company. Darren refused. Now he heard rumors Darren was building something new, something that could change how people healed. Something called Heartcode. Thalos wanted it. He sent his spies into the lower districts, searching for details. They returned with a photo Myra, walking with Lena in the city park. "A waitress?" Thalos laughed. "That girl is the key?" He ordered his men to follow her. "Watch, learn. If she's important, bring her to me." Back at the Sky Tower, Mira felt nothing. No fear, no warning. But Darren noticed something strange. A signal near the security gate. Someone had tried to scan Mira's ID. He called her to the lab. "I think someone's watching you," he said. Who? Not sure. Yet, but we'll find out. Mira felt cold for the first time since she arrived. Should I leave? She asked. I don't want Lena to get hurt. Darren shook his head firmly. No, this place is protected, and so are you. He handed her a small bracelet. It's a silent alarm. If anything feels wrong, press it. My team will come. Mira nodded. She didn't want to be a problem. But she also didn't want to run. Not again. That night, Lena sat quietly with Mira in her room. Scared? Lena asked through her voice device. Mira looked at her, surprised. A little. But I'm... Okay, don't go. I'm not going anywhere, Mira said, holding her hand. We're just getting started. Lena leaned forward, placing the paper bird in Mira's lap. Fly together. Mira smiled, her eyes full of warmth. Yes, she said. Together. Outside. The stars burned brighter, but in the shadows far below, danger waited. And soon, the peaceful world they had built would be tested. It was a quiet morning at the floating sky tower. Birds, small drone creatures with glowing wings, fluttered around the garden windows. Inside, Lena sat near a table, carefully building a new paper shape with Mira. They were laughing softly, their fingers working together like artists. Everything looked peaceful. But far below, danger had already begun moving. In the city of Alvaron Prime, a black hovercar stopped outside a tall, silent building. A man stepped out, dressed in dark silver armor and glasses that showed blinking data across the lens. His name was Rel Cade, and he was TimelessWisdom's top operative. He entered the hidden chamber, where Thalos stood beside a table of glowing maps and security feeds. She's unguarded often, Rel said. No weapons, no shields, only soft security systems. Thalos smiled slowly. Good, I want her taken alive. Quietly, no drama. And the child? Leave the child. But copy her implant code. We may use it later, Rel nodded. Understood. Thalos stared at the image of Mira on the screen. A waitress who unlocked a broken child's heart. Now the entire heart code AI is built around her. If I get her, I get the heart of the system. He walked to the window, watching the dark city beyond. Darren thus thinks he's protecting them. He's wrong. Back at the tower, Darren was busy in his private lab. The heart code prototype was nearly complete. Its frame was small, shaped like a glowing sphere with soft arms and a bright center. Inside it was Mira's voice, her stories, her way of calming others. Darren watched the test screen. Heart code AI. You are safe. You are loved. You are not alone. He nodded. The voice was perfect. A moment later, Mira entered the lab. Her face was serious. Something's wrong, she said. I felt it last night. Like someone was watching us. Darren turned to her. You were right. I checked security logs again. One of TimelessWisdom's drones was near our perimeter 2 days ago. It didn't get in, but it was close. Mira's hands tightened. Why would he want me? She asked. Because you're not just helping Lena. You've become the emotional core of the entire heart code project. Your voice, your actions, your kindness, everything is built around you. But I'm just a me. I'm not special. Darren looked at her gently. You're more special than you know. Mira looked down, quiet. He stood and placed a small chip into her hand. This holds a backup of heart code. Keep it with you. If something happens, this must be protected. She nodded. I'll keep it safe. That evening, while Mira helped Lena get ready for bed, a strange sound came from the hallway, a soft humming buzz, almost like a whisper. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. Mira's eyes narrowed. She stood ready. A second later, a black drone crashed. Through the window, silent, fast, and sharp. It fired a tiny dart toward Mira. But before it hit her, a glowing blue shield activated in midair. Darren's emergency system kicked in just in time. The dart dropped to the floor. Mira grabbed Lena and shielded her body with her own. The walls glowed red. Security drones flew in. The black attacker tried to escape, but Darren's machines trapped it mid-air. It exploded in a spark of dust. Lena was shaking. Her voice device buzzed. Scared, Mira. I'm here, Mira said quickly, hugging her. I've got you. I won't let anyone hurt you. Darren entered the room seconds later, eyes full of fire. He looked at Mira and Lena, then turned toward the window. This was a warning, he said. Thalos is coming. The next morning, Mira sat quietly in the garden, holding the chip Darren gave her. She looked tired but strong. Darren sat across from her. You can leave if you want, he said softly. You don't have to stay in danger. Mira shook her head. No, I won't leave, Lena. We've come too far. Darren nodded slowly. Then, I need to make a new offer. Something bigger. She looked up. What kind of offer? Darren tapped a control panel beside him. A large screen opened behind them, showing a small space station orbiting one of Alvaron 3's moons. This is Project Haven. It's a new facility I've been building in secret. It's not just a lab. It's a home for children like Lena. A place of healing, away from politics and business. He turned to Mira. I want you to run it with me, not just as staff. As a partner. You'll lead the emotional support division. Your methods, your voice, your heart. They will shape everything we do. Mira blinked, stunned. You want me to help lead a space station? I've seen what you can do, Mira. You changed one life. I believe you can change thousands. She looked at her hands. I never even finished school. You didn't need to, Darren said. You passed the only test that matters: kindness, courage, and connection. Mira sat quietly for a while. Then, slowly she nodded. I'll do it. For Lena. For others like her. That evening, Mira told Lena about the plan. About the space station. About helping other children. Lena listened carefully. Go, too? She asked. Mira smiled. Yes, you'll be the first one there. You'll help me teach the new helpers how to understand hearts. Lena nodded. Okay, together. They held hands for a long moment. Outside, the floating lights glowed like stars. Inside, a new dream had been born, but while hope grew inside. The tower, the shadows in Alvaron Prime grew darker. Thalos stood before a row of dark soldiers. The next attack must not fail, he said. This time we don't take the girl. He pointed at the screen where Mira's face shone. We take her. Night had fallen over Alvaron 3, and the sky tower stood quietly in the clouds, lit by soft golden lights. Inside, everything looked peaceful, but underneath, tension had begun to rise. Mira stayed awake longer than usual. She sat by Lena's bedside, softly brushing the girl's hair. Lena was asleep, her breathing calm, her fingers gently holding a paper bird. Mira looked out the window. Her heart was not calm. Darren had given her a new bracelet, one linked directly to the emergency defense system. If anything happened, she only had to press it once. But what if she wasn't fast enough? What if they came for Lena? She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, stay strong. For her. Far away, in the city's darkest district, Relcade prepared his team. They were silent, trained soldiers in black armor, equipped with cloaking tech and neural disruptors. Thalos had ordered them to move quickly and without failure. She doesn't leave the tower, Rel told them. She stays under guard, but tonight that ends. We take Mira Vus quietly, cleanly. No witnesses, Vus? One soldier asked. Did she marry Darren? No, Rel said, eyes cold. But he treats her like family. And that's enough. Back in the tower, Darren walked through his lab. He checked Heartcode's core system one more time. The eye now responded in full sentences. Its voice still sounded like Mira's, but more advanced. Heartcode AI. Love is not a function. It is a memory shared, Darren smiled. you're learning. He paused as a light blinked red on the control panel. A silent signal. Something near the outer shield had changed. Security breach? He whispered. He pressed the tower's alert system, but before he could activate the full lockdown, the lights went out. Mira felt it immediately. The soft hum of the tower stopped. The lights dimmed. Only the emergency glow remained. She stood up quickly, gently lifting Lena into her hover chair. Wake up, Lena. We have to go. Lena blinked, still half asleep. Scared? Don't be, Mira said, holding her tightly. I'm with you. She pressed the bracelet on her wrist. Far below, defense drones activated and the tower's shields began to glow. But the intruders had already entered. Rel and his team moved through the lower halls like shadows. They disabled 2 drones and used scramblers to block the signal lines. But something strange happened. Every time they moved closer to the living quarters, the walls changed. Color shifted. Paths closed. Doors sealed. Rel frowned. The tower is reacting to us. He tapped his lens and tried to override the system. Then he heard a voice. Calm, soft, familiar. Heart code. AI, you are not welcome here. Please leave. Is that her voice? One soldier whispered. Rel ignored it. Cut the system. Keep moving. Darren joined Mira and Lena in the escape tunnel under the tower. It was built for emergencies, leading straight to a hidden transport pod. We have to get you both out, Darren said. No, Mira replied firmly. We all go together. Darren looked at her. In that moment, he realized something. Mira wasn't the same girl who once folded birds in a dusty cafe. She was stronger now, steady, brave. We have to split, he said. If they're here for you, we need to distract them. I'm not leaving, Lena. I didn't say you should, he said. I'll lead them away. Before Mira could argue, the ceiling above shook. The lights flashed red. Rel had reached the lab. Inside the lab, Rel stared at the II core. The small glowing sphere hovered in the air, surrounded by light patterns. Take it, he said. 2 soldiers moved forward. But the heart code AI began to speak again. You don't understand. This is not just data. It is a life, a feeling, a connection. The soldiers hesitated. It's a trick, Rel barked. Move. Suddenly, the core glowed brighter, and a blinding pulse of light pushed them back. They fell to the floor, groaning. It has a defense system? One soldier gasped. Rel stood up, furious. We came from Mira. If we can't take the AI, we take her. He turned to leave, but alarms blared again. Darren appeared on the lab screen. You want me? He said coldly. Then come get me. Then the floor opened below the lab. Darren dropped through a hidden shaft and disappeared. Rel growled. He's buying time. Meanwhile, Mira and Lena reached the pod chamber. Mira placed Lena gently inside the cushioned seat and locked her in. I'm going to guide this pod to Project Haven, Mira said. You'll be safe there, Lena. Grabbed her hand. Come too. I will, Mira said softly. But first I have to stop the bad ones. Scared, for you. I'm not afraid anymore. She kissed Lena's forehead and closed the pod. Now fly, little bird. She pressed the launch button. The pod shot upward, hidden from enemy scans, flying fast toward the moon station. Mira turned and walked back into the corridor. She wasn't a soldier. She had no armor. But she had courage. She tapped the eye panel on her wrist. Heart code, can you hear me? Yes, Mira. Can you help me protect Darren? I can try. Then let's do it. Together. In the halls above. Rel was searching for Darren when the walls changed again. Lights blinked, doors locked. Sounds echoed everywhere. Trap! One soldier shouted. Rel shouted orders, but the system was too strong now. Suddenly, Mira appeared from the shadows. She stood with calm eyes, her hands glowing with light from the eye panel. You're not taking anything tonight, she said. Rel laughed. You think you can stop me with paper birds and kind words? Mira didn't move. I'm not alone. Behind her, a defense shield lit up, powered by heart code. Itself. Then drones flew down, smaller than before, but faster. Designed by Lena and Mira together, they flashed images, sounds, memories, Mira's voice, Lena's laugh, the soft tune of the paper birds flying. The soldiers stumbled. Their neural links overloaded. Rel growled, swinging his weapon. But Mira dodged, leading him deeper into the hall. Finally, she stopped beside a bright panel. "This is for Lena," she whispered and slammed her hand on it. A beam of light hit Rel's weapon and shattered it. Then backup drones surrounded him. He was trapped. Hours later, Darren returned to find Mira sitting in the quiet lab, bruised but safe. Lena's pod had arrived safely at Project Haven. Darren looked at her with new eyes. "You're not just a helper," he said. "You're a protector," Mira smiled tiredly. "She protected me too, in her own way." They sat in silence, watching. The I-core spin softly. Lena's voice echoed from the heart code. "Mira, brave." The stars above Alvaron 3 sparkled brighter than before. Days had passed since the attack. The tower was quiet, now safe. The threat was gone. But inside, something new was beginning to grow. Mira walked down the hallway with soft steps. Her arms were still sore from the fight, and her mind full of memories. But her heart felt lighter. Lena was safe. That was all that mattered. She entered the lab and saw Darren working at the main console. He looked tired but focused. His fingers moved quickly as he adjusted the IS systems. "Couldn't sleep again?" she asked gently. He smiled at her. "Not really. Too many things in my head. Same here." He stood up and walked to her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was full of understanding. "I keep thinking," Darren said slowly. "What if you weren't there that night? What if you hadn't pressed the bracelet? Then you would have found another way," Mira replied. "You always do." He shook his head. "No, you changed everything. Not just for me, for Lena, for Heartcode, for all of us." Later that morning, Mira and Darren visited the medical station, where Lena was being cared for. Project Haven was hidden deep inside one of Alvaron's floating valleys, safe, quiet, and full of life. Lena sat in her new hover chair, watching butterflies made of light fly around the garden. She smiled when she saw them coming. "Papa," she said with joy. "Mira," Mira knelt beside her. "We missed you." Lena held out her hands. In them were 2 folded birds, one for each. Darren took his, smiling. "Thank you, Starlight." Lena turned to Mira. "Dream now?" Mira looked at her gently. "What dream, sweet girl?" "The dream you said," Lena whispered. "Home, with sun, with us." Mira nodded slowly. She remembered that dream. The one they had spoken about after the storm. The dream of building something new. A home full of laughter and light. A place where no one was afraid. Darren looked at Mira. "Maybe it's time." They returned to the tower and began the plan. It wouldn't just be a home for them. It would be a place for others too: orphans, disabled children, people with no family left after the wars. A sanctuary powered by Heartcode, guided by kindness. They named it The Nest. Mira smiled when she saw the name on the wall. "Because birds need a safe place to land," she whispered. Darren added, "and to fly again." Mira helped design the rooms: soft colors, wide doors, quiet spaces. Darren created the tech floating beds, healing chairs, robotic arms that painted walls with smiles. Lena added her touch too. She picked the music, designed the gardens, and asked that every room have a small window where light could shine in. And Heartcode helped them all. Its voice, still sounding a little like Mira's, guided every system with care. Asterisk. "Peace is not just silence. The I once said, it is safety." It is love felt by those who never had it. The nest grew fast. And word spread quickly. One evening, Mira sat in the new children's library. Books floated around on small hover platforms, and soft lights made the room feel like a cozy sky. A boy entered quietly, no older than 9. He had burns on his hands and fear in his eyes. Mira stood up. "Hey there," she said warmly. "What's your name?" The boy didn't answer at first. He looked around unsure. "I'm Mira," she said. "This is a safe place. You don't have to speak if you don't want to." The boy finally whispered, "Ben." Mira smiled. "Welcome home, Ben." He looked up. "Is it really safe?" She nodded. "Yes, here, you can rest, you can heal. No one will hurt you." He stared at her for a long time, then reached out and gently touched her hand. That small touch meant everything. Days turned into weeks. The nest filled with people, children, elders, caretakers. Some were wounded. Some were lost. But all of them were welcomed. Mira became the heart of the place. She cooked for them, taught them, listened to them. Darren provided the machines, the energy, the security. Lena was their light. Her laughter filled the halls. One night, as a soft rain fell outside, Darren and Mira stood on the balcony, looking over the glowing city they had helped rebuild. "You know," Darren said, "I used to think money could solve anything." Mira chuckled. "You learned otherwise?" "Yes," he said seriously. "It wasn't money that saved Lena, it was you." Mira looked away, a little shy. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Darren replied. "You did what only you could do." She turned to him slowly. Their hands met. For the first time, they didn't pull away. The next morning, a message arrived from the Alliance Council. They had seen what the nest had become. They wanted Mira and Darren to help build more on other colonies, other moons. Darren read the message twice, then handed it to Mira. "What do you think?" he asked. She read it quietly. Then she looked out the window where children were chasing light birds in the garden. "I think the world is finally listening." That night, Mira walked to Lena's room. The girl was already asleep, hugging a stuffed star. Mira sat beside her and whispered, "We're going to help more people, just like we helped you." She brushed Lena's hair gently. Then she said something she hadn't said in years. "I'm proud of who I've become." And outside the window, paper birds danced in the wind. It had been 1 year since the nest was built. From above, the floating sanctuary looked like a glowing star in the clouds of Alvaron 3. Children's laughter echoed through its walls. Gardens bloomed on every floor. Rooms were filled with kindness, and machines were programmed with care. Mira stood on the upper balcony early in the morning. The sky was soft orange, and below her, the world she helped create was alive. She had come far from where she started, from a waitress with tired hands, to a leader of something bigger than herself. But now, something new had arrived. The council's ship landed quietly just before noon. Darren, Mira, and Lena waited at the front landing pad. The ship opened, and a tall woman with silver braids stepped out. Her name was Minister Alara. She smiled kindly as she approached. "You must be Mira," she said warmly. "The one we've heard so much about." Mira nodded politely. "Yes, Minister." Alara looked around at the nest. "This place, it is more than a shelter. It is a dream made real." Darren stepped forward, and it was her dream. The minister turned back to Mira. "Then we need your help again. We want to build 10 more nests, on moons, space colonies, and deep stations, places where hope doesn't reach anymore." Mira listened silently. Then Alara added, "But it won't be easy. It means leaving this one for a while. We want you to lead the mission." Lena's hand squeezed Mira's. "You're my hero," the little girl whispered. "But heroes help everyone, right?" Mira looked down at her. In that moment, she saw the strength in Lena's eyes. The same strength she had seen when feeding her in the cafe so long ago. That night, Mira sat with Darren on the garden rooftop. He had been quiet since the meeting. Finally he said, "If you go, it'll be hard. For us. For Lena." Mira nodded. "I know, but this is bigger than me. And I won't be gone forever." Darren looked at her. "You were the light that changed everything. Maybe now the rest of the galaxy needs that same light." They sat together in silence. The stars above seemed closer than ever. The next few weeks were full of planning. Mira trained teams for each nest: caretakers, builders, engineers. She shared her knowledge how to make people feel safe, not just housed. How to give love without asking anything in return. She designed blueprints for the next nests with Darren's help. They used everything they had learned: floating classrooms, peaceful sleep pods, therapy gardens, and music halls. Lena helped too. She recorded her voice for the bedtime machines. Her laughter would comfort children across the stars. The day of departure came. Mira stood at the shuttle ramp, her travel bag in hand. Her heart was heavy, but she was ready. Lena hugged her tight. "Promise to come back." Mira knelt down. "I promise, Starlight. And while I'm away, you'll keep the nest shining, right?" Lena saluted playfully. "Yes, Captain Mira." Darren stepped forward. He didn't speak at first. Then he gave her a small box. She opened it. Inside was the paper bird she had once given Lena, now placed in glass, glowing softly with light. "So you always carry us with you," he said. She blinked fast to hold back her tears. "Thank you for believing in me." He leaned closer. "I'll be here when you're ready to come home." Their fingers touched one last time. Then Mira turned and walked into the ship. Mira traveled from moon to moon. She visited dark, forgotten places where war had left nothing behind but silence. She spoke to survivors. She listened to children who hadn't smiled in years. She met parents with no strength left, and everywhere she went, she built something new. The nests rose, one by one. People came. They healed. They found laughter again. Mira didn't just give them food or safety. She gave them dignity. She gave them hope. One day, on the icy moon of Taros V, Mira stood in front of the 7th nest. Snowflakes floated in the sky, and children danced under falling light. A young girl came to her, holding a drawing. It showed Mira standing under a tree of stars, with light spreading from her heart to the galaxy. "Is that me?" Mira asked. The girl nodded. "You're the lady who fixes broken stars." Mira smiled, tears in her eyes. In that moment, she knew her journey had meaning. Months passed. The mission was almost done, and Mira finally returned home. As her ship landed on Alvaron 3, the nest looked even more beautiful than she remembered. The gardens were greener, the halls brighter, and the air full of joy. Lena ran to her, arms wide. "You came back." Mira hugged her tight. "Always." Darren was there too, standing beside the new children he had taken care of while she was gone. His eyes met hers. He didn't need to say anything. They already knew. That evening, they held a festival at the nest. Lights filled the sky. Music floated through the air. Children from every corner of the galaxy had sent gifts, letters, and videos to thank Mira for the new homes. Darren stood on the stage and called Mira forward. She stepped into the light. Once, he said, she was just a waitress. Then she became a guardian of hope, a symbol of what one kind heart can do. Everyone clapped. Mira stood quietly. She looked at all the faces, young and old, smiling back at her. And then she spoke. "I didn't do this alone. I was just the first hand that reached out. But it was all of you who made it real. Kindness isn't a gift, it's a choice. One we can make every single day." She paused. "And I promise this, no matter how far I go, I'll always come back to where the first light began." The crowd stood. Cheers filled the air. Above them, paper birds made of light flew high into the stars. And so, the story of the waitress who fed a little girl became a story shared across the galaxy, not a tale of war or wealth or machines, but a simple truth: kindness changes everything.